go straight to our first conversation for today. For decades, successive governments in Nigeria resorted to protective measures, including import restrictions and exchange rate control to manage its foreign exchange market, and also to deal with the problems of import and oil dependency. This import substitution policy is usually eroded by an economic crisis, often triggered by the collapse of the oil market and a significant drop in Nigeria's oil revenue, which accounts for 70% of the country's total revenue. Expectedly, the Central Bank of Nigeria followed this well-trodden path in efforts to ensure that Nigeria embraces import substitution and reduce the demand pressure on foreign exchange by importers, and ultimately conserve the nation's hard-earned revenue or reserves. For instance, in June 2015, the Apex Bank banned importers of 41 foreign products from accessing foreign exchange, refusing to use the dwindling Forex earnings to finance items it feels there were local alternatives and, of course, capacity. And earlier this year, the CBN included sugar and wheat into that list. However, given infrastructure constraints, lack of capacity to fill the gaps in the immediate and short-term period, implications are particularly production and employment, given that the Nigerian economy virtually depends on importation to survive. The questions begging for answers now is, what will be the impact of this development on the business community and, by extension, the economy? To provide answers to this question, and of course all that has to do with the Forex market that we've been talking about for some time, we cannot talk about this enough, is a lecturer at the Department of Economics at Nnamdi Azikwe University, Dr. Uche Ayanwu. Dr. Ayanwu, good afternoon and thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon.
Yes, let's go straight to the point of discourse. When you heard at that MPC meeting, the CBN governor saying that there will be restriction to Forex sales to BDC operators, what did you think, or how did it come to you?
It didn't come to me as a surprise as such, because it had been long overdue, given the role the change I've been playing in recent times. We discovered that in the beginning, the essence why the rule change was brought in was to take care of the retail end of Forex. People looking for BTA fees and small exchange, right? Mostly between 6,000 to 5,000 down. But it's of recent, you found out that the change companies begin to involve themselves in volume transactions, and in the process, you notice that they were moving towards too sharp practices, thereby distorting the initial need, the essence why the CBN actually brought them to see how they can close the gap on the exchange rate market. However, the major issue is the way the BDCs have carried themselves over these years. Most times, diverting the money meant to be sent to the risk sector, to some hands that are not actually the legitimate intention of the central bank, thereby causing artificial scarcity. Because when dollar is given and you're not reaching the hands of people meant for it, and people who are not the legitimate intention of the central bank now hold this money, most of them, they get it and keep it in their house. You find out that the real people, most importers who are the real sector that need the money, won't have access to it. In the bid to get it, causing artificial scarcity, you see that the price of dollar tends to rise up. And every day you have central banks say they release also billions, also millions of dollars, and you can't find them. The real people that need, they can't have access to them. This is causing artificial scarcity. Of course, in economics, when there is scarcity, tendency, when the demand is more than the supply, the tendency is the price will go up. And when price go up, naturally, it means that the cost of bringing those things to the country is up also. And of course, it's turning towards inflation, unnecessary rise of cost of production or the products. These are the kind of quagmire the managers of the economy this time the CBN have found themselves. and in a bid to solve the problem, they have to do something. Of course, that's what they have done.
A very good way to start this discussion, Dr. Ayanwu. Now, we have more than 5,000 licensed BDC operators across the country. And according to the central bank, 574 license applications every month. Now, looking at this, some are also worried about the negative impact this could have on the businesses of the BDCs. Though they have come out to say they are still selling FX, but they are not just going to be receiving from the CBN. What do you think will be the effect on that space?
Of course, they will be selling, because what CBN did not stop them from practicing. What it does is that they won't have access to Forex from CBN again. And they will have to find a way of sourcing their own Forex, which is the right thing to do. Because the expectation is that maybe people coming from outside the country, entering Nigeria, they will meet them and they will exchange. Also, personal inflows. That's why they're supposed to assess the address, not going straight to the CBN. Because going straight to the CBN, they have converted themselves to another parallel market. Okay. Now, when this happened, of course, most of the first shock effect you will have in the very short term, which we are having now, is sure, the Naira will weaken a little bit, and the implication on them that some people will lose their job, though it's temporary, in a very short term, because as we go on the discussion, you find out that in the short run, in the long run, or in the middle term, not even long run, things will turn around and normalize. Because now, the CBN said that Money Deposit Bank, that's what I'll be calling DMBs, will be the one in charge. And when this happens, you find out that with proper monitoring, people, the real people, that the real sector, the real people that CBN intended to have access to this money will now legitimately have access to the money. Of course, some other people have said that maybe because of bank bottleneck, bureaucracy, logistics, which I call maybe documentation, are going to pose a little problem. But from what the CBN has set up for this money deposit banks, I don't think this will constitute a problem. But today, the change people, more though, because the volume they'll be doing, of course, will be less than optimal. Most of their staff may have to stand by for a while. However, when the economy set in again, you find out that real sector, maybe SMEs that hitherto who doesn't have access to this forest will not have, because if I'm sure that if I go to a nearby bank, I will have access to dollar with ease, with less stress or less documentation. Why would I look for a place that I'll go and get dollar at a very high rate? Because it is easy. It's just like what we have now. When all these POS people, of course, they will be there. But you find out that since you go to bank and withdraw money is easier, you find out the premium you might be paying for this POS is very little, because they know that the customer has an option of running to the bank and withdraw your money, or quickly do it on the roadside.
Using the banks, there's also another argument that the same issue of round tripping and sharp practices might not be totally eliminated, because some say, do you think the banks really have the capacity to service BTAs, PTAs, and all of that the Bureau de Change operators service? And another argument is that the documentation may be required by the banks could be kind of cumbersome, and Nigerians, they always want it very fast. So that might make people still resort to using the BDC operators and might continue to make the dollar stay on the high side against the Naira.
Okay, let's take the question line by line. Now, when money released to the DMBs, that's deposit money banks, and is expected, of course, CBN has given them mandate, and with proper monitoring, you must attend to this. These are the checkouts. I don't see the possibility. Of course, the documentation idea. But why the documentation idea? Because if the documentation not there, how will we know the real people that actually need the money? Okay, so that's minor documentation so that the essence of why those the essence of why they... Hello?
Go ahead, please. You're live.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay. The essence is to make sure that the real people, the legitimate people, the intended people should have access to the money. And with those minor documentations, the right people will be able to have access. Now, people saying that documentation and the bank can trip it. I do not think, because CBN have actually given a hotline a customer could always call, and there are emails a customer can always do. I don't believe that the RAM tripping we noticed before will be because CBN would come out in full force, and people are now know their rights. They could always call. It's a toll-free line. So I don't see, and moreover, of course, CBN is a regulatory body. Any money deposit bank that go contrary to what CBN owns might fall under the sledgehammer, and I don't think any responsible MD would allow his staff or whoever to allow such thing to happen. And so the issue of saying that documentation will cause will make it difficult, I don't believe so. But it could happen in the very short run, as it is now, because of course it's a new policy, and the bank may not have all way without to jumpstart immediately. But I know that also, so they have a FT desk. They have desk that transact MoneyGram and all those kinds. It's a matter of nomenclature, and give them a responsibility and give them a guideline, and it will flow. As far as CBN is providing enough liquidity, enough dollar to those banks, so that there won't be excuse that we don't have dollar. So, because is that excuse that we don't have dollar, we can prompt somebody to go to the next market. Of course, as far as those things in place, I do not see the possibility. Because if I go to bank A and I don't have access, I can always go to bank B. Of course, those banks doing that will have a little markup, which is enough to motivate them and to do their work.
Dr. Ayanwu, I don't know if you also agree with me that there will need to be a lot of monitoring and, of course, evaluation of this initiative by the CBN to assess maybe in a few months how positive this has been, maybe to impact the Naira or whatever impact, if it's negative, on the Naira. Evaluation and monitoring this process with the banks. What do you think are the possible means, or what do you think the CBN should really do directly to make sure that everyone plays by the rules?
Yeah, as I said this earlier, proper monitoring is very key to this. However, in the very short run, as you mentioned a month or two, likely the dollar will keep on going up. Sure, but it's a very short term. One, what you could call is panic and fear. Of course, people have that notion that going to bank to get dollar will be very difficult. Of course, the bank and the CBN have a responsibility to sensitize the people and say, no, it was not as it used to be. Now it's different. With that fear, the tendency that people, the hitherto are close to BDCs, and they will always rush, and the price, of course, the BDC doesn't have enough. The little they have, it will go up. But if a little time pass, you will see that in no distance time, the news will start filtering down that, go to this bank A, it's very easy, you have access to your dollar. Go to this bank B, it's very easy to have access to your dollar. But the CBN must dedicate a particular desk, let people to go around, form something like mystery shoppers, go and try to buy dollar, notice the inconsistencies in firsthand. Let their staff or whoever they can commission to go and try to buy these dollars. Notice if there are shortcomings, such that if they notice such shortcomings, they immediately put a correction mechanism in place. You will find that in the very short run, these things will feather away. And of course, you know that CBN has since long to have a single pricing of exchange rates. And I believe strongly that this, if this policy is sustained, it will be able to lead to that achievement. Why do I think so? As I gave instance of this issue of people going to POS to collect their cash or even make transfer. Of course, the option is also in bank, but they do that because maybe proximity or they don't want to waste time. Now, You find out because they know, and even the POS people also know that it does not take much time to go and pay money in the bank and withdraw it. Therefore, the charge or the tariff they will put in those POS will be so small. This is exactly what's going to happen if this is properly implemented and monitored. BDC will go, but the fact that the margin between what the price will be and what the parallel market will gradually begin to slim down. We gradually begin to close, and we have a near single pricing of Forex, which CBN have hitherto been trying to achieve, which will go a long way to assist help in the economy. One, it will help for planning. It help investors, even foreign investors that will come, know that, see, this is what we have. Unlike a situation whereby the volatility in the exchange market will make it difficult for entrepreneurs to plan and keep on, and when they want to do, they have to hedge high because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. And this particular policy has a tendency to clear it up and leave proper planning. Of course, when you see proper planning, somebody cannot plan between now and a year or thereabout. The impact will soon be seen. The impact will increase in productivity. It will increase in expansion of business, and when the expansion of business expand, of course, it will increase in employment. Okay, and it will go a long way to reduce even inflation, because what will happen that some SMEs who hitherto doesn't have access because of the high price of dollar, different from what CBN is giving to them and what a parallel market or business are saying, will now discover that it is easy for them to have access to this dollar. Of course, some of the who hitherto cannot buy, who cannot quickly begin to import again. Of course, when most of them who intend to put whether machine or even import product and all that, and the what I said, that export ban will be expanded. Much goods will be imported in the country. Of course, when supply tend to be more than the demand, tendency that the prices of those will begin gradually to come down, and the prices of those begin to come down. Of course, it has a ripple effect on the inflation rate, which will also come down, and that's what we are looking at in the long run. What is the big picture is that how do we stabilize the economy, reduce this high rate of exchange rate, reduce the high rate of inflation, and reduce unemployment. That's what the CBN is looking at. That's the big picture, and not the short-term effect that people reaction, panic, and fear are likely to cause within this period.
So we could put it that we are in a transition period for us to get to a level where this disparity that we've talked about for some time between the black market rates and, of course, the official bank rates will level up, and we'll start to see better when we talk about price differences. Now, Nigeria remains an import-dependent economy, Dr. Ayanwu, and that is one thing that is also worrisome. And we talk many times about expanding our export base so that we can get more foreign exchange into the country. Do you think this is not another wake-up call for Nigeria to think back and look at all of these plans that can make us get more Forex aside from crude oil? Dr. Ayanwu, did you get my question?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was talking about expanding our export base so that we can make more foreign exchange aside from crude oil. Don't you think this is the right time to go back to the drawing boards? Hello, Dr. Ayanwu, can you hear me? All right, we'll try to reconnect with Dr. Uche Ayanwu. Okay, Dr. Ayanwu.
I'm back now.
Yes.
Okay. Please,
how would you react to Nigeria expanding its export base to get more dollars away from crude oil? I think we're still having the same problem. You cannot hear me.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yes. Okay. How can we get more dollars from the export side at this moment? Expanding export base. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's the essence of all this. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead. You're live. Yes.
Right? Okay. I said that's the essence of all the CBN is doing, is to how do we increase our Forex via exports. Of course, it is to encourage the real sector. It's to encourage the real sector. One, when we encourage the real sector and increase our standard such that we can add value to most of the raw material we export in a raw form. Because when we add value to them, you find that it will attract more exchange rate to the economy than extending our raw materials in a raw form. Who said that we cannot even manufacture a complete product that had the international standard? It is possible, because with this policy, I know that most of the SMEs will have access to get machines or raw material they want abroad, and they will maintain, when the price is less, they will maintain the international standard so that they can export. Of course, when they export, it means that more dollar is coming in to add to what the oil is giving, because this issue of mono export is the major problem of the country. But there are other areas which we can increase to increase our base in getting forex into the country. And I believe much is that SMEs, if well encouraged, they can do the magic. It has happened in other countries, in other clans, particularly in Asia. We know that SMEs, most of the things we use here, we say import, is SMEs that produce them. Who say we cannot do it here in Nigeria? It is possible. And right. I think that is what the CBN is looking at. Of course, CBN have come different interventions. Those interventions are going straight to the hinterland, going straight to the SME, going straight to the farmers. Of course, the farmers, it means that the raw materials the SME will get will be at cheap rate. Because most of the time, what people tend to put, because they say the cost of operation here is high. Of course, what is happening at the issue of electricity, of energy now, of course, is a welcome development. And efforts are being made to increase energy supply in Nigeria. These are the infrastructural things that are essence to develop the economy, to enable the SMEs to come up with their optimum performance. Of course, with this and other policies, intervention the government are doing and CBN are trying to see, you find that in the long distance time, there are possibilities that the curve will shift to a better side of it.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Uche Ayanwu. I thank you from the Department of Economics, Nnamdi Azikwe University. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We appreciate your insight into this topic. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, then.